What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Uberkooledgarage. This week's episode, we're back on the bug. A ton of work has been going on the last couple weeks, but now I'm getting to a point where Ryan's car is pretty much done. More unfortunate news about that car, but getting it sorted out. Fingers crossed everything goes good. But we're on the bug, so let's go ahead and hop into this episode because there is a lot of progress that is going on. I hope you guys enjoy. Since Ryan's car got the 5-speed out of my bug, I decided it was probably a good time to upgrade. So I just went and picked up a 2019 STI 6-speed transmission. These things are basically bulletproof. Everybody runs these factory just the way they are for very high horsepower numbers. So one of the reasons why I'm getting away from the 5-speed is the 5-speeds are pretty brittle. I was going to try and build a 5-speed, put upgraded gears in it, get an LSD differential, all of that stuff, but that still doesn't help that the cases are weak. So one of the reasons why I didn't go 6-speed to begin with was because I was trying to keep weight down. These ones are about 70 pounds heavier than the 5-speed, but I think I can live with that little bit of extra weight. I'm going to kind of pull everything off of it that's not needed. The nose cone, the rear diff, or the center diff, take all the brackets and stuff off that aren't needed. So this was in a fire damaged car, so there's a little bit of char here and there, but I'm going to pull the whole thing apart, inspect all the gears, all the synchros, make sure that everything looks good inside the transmission. And while it's apart, I will probably sandblast and powder coat the outside of the case. I don't like how aluminum gets oxidized. It drives me absolutely insane. I like the fact that it's lighter, but the cleanup on it and to keep it maintained and clean is just, it's too much for me. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this apart. We're gonna replace all the seals, make sure that everything's sealed back up. Once we get the whole thing powder coated, and we'll get it back together. So let's go ahead and rip this thing apart. Finally got around to getting the bug in epoxy primer. So you saw I got the majority of it painted or primed. So everything's kind of curing up. Everything flowed out nice. I did end up getting a couple run spots, a couple thicker spots, but that's okay because all of this is going to get blocked. So now that it's got an epoxy primer on it, I can start getting all of the bodywork done. You can see there's a couple ripples here. It's not horrible, but definitely needs some attention. I need to hammer and dolly this out a tiny bit more, but we'll go ahead and block sand this entire thing and start laying some body filler on it, smoothing it out, getting some hammer and dolly done. But turned out super good. Very happy, very excited. It's kind of the first step. So starting to move forward, I need to sand down the inside of this quarter panel, do body work and stuff. I still have a ton of sheet metal stuff to do, including the driver's side heater channel, but I wanted to get this thing in primer. That way I could start doing the body work on the outside, getting that all set. This stuff actually takes 5 to 7 days to fully cure. So it's been 2 days. It's still a tad bit tacky. I did have a tiny bit of an issue with some runs up here and up here in the corners, but like I said, it's all gonna get blocked down. So let's go ahead and continue some sheet metal work, and then we'll hop into body work. But first, I have a bunch of parts here that I need to powder coat. So let's go ahead and get those powder coated up, and then we'll hop back on the body. Well, more rusty stuff out of the bug. Got the front heater channel off. This is seeing some better days. So we got that off. I ended up cutting out the front of the other A-pillar, and then the rest of the heater channel out of the back section. All of this was just absolute garbage, which is why I was replacing the heater channels. Everything here looks pretty darn good. So I'm gonna end up having to remake the bottom of both B pillars, just because when I originally did the channel, I was not smart enough to notch the B pillar the same as the heater channel. So it's completely fine now. I can remake and fit them pretty darn good. So that, and the A-pillar is actually lining up pretty good. It is sitting a little tiny high at the moment for some reason. Gotta probably go through and file some stuff down, clean it up, straighten everything out, make sure that's good. I'll do the same thing that I did with the passenger side and bolt the door on and put some shims in so then all my body lines match up. And I'll go ahead and weld up the front A-pillar, weld in the inside of the bottom B-pillar. That way it stays in position and all of that. And then after that, then I can cut this front section out and remake a new panel. The inside of the car, I have been sanding and sanding and sanding. There's a lot of stuff in here that I forgot that I did years and years and years and years ago. I stuffed a ton of Bondo and stuff like that in weird spots. to cover up like the rear view mirror mount and the window mounts and or the sunscreen mounts and all of that. So what I'll end up doing now is I'll end up welding the seam and any holes and any of that. The rear section back here, where I originally thought I was going to cut vents in. I'm still probably going to cut vents in, but I'm going to do it differently. So I'm going to have to patch this panel back in. This is where the original headliner had some tabs that clipped in the headliner. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'll probably just cut this metal right below this and add in a new steel piece. I'll weld the seam, and then same thing with this seam. I'll probably throw a bead of weld all the way around this whole seam and smooth that out, so then it only has a tiny bit of body filler in it instead of this whole thing being packed full. And then once I get the inner fenders in, I'm gonna probably cut those out tomorrow, get those fitted in, and then mark out my straight lines where I want them, and then I'll cut them. After I can do those, then I will fill in this panel here and add the vents like I would like to. So once we get all of that kind of welded in and good, I believe the body will be a lot stiffer because right now it is pretty darn floppy. The back panel here, I'm still debating on what I want to do with that. It needs a lot of work. A lot of this stuff in here was pretty rusted back in the day. So I don't know if I want to cut that whole section out and replace it with a new panel and dimple dye some holes in there or what. But I'm still thinking on that. But we're gonna start doing a ton of metal work to get the body a lot more stiff. And in the next clip, I will show you some of the new goodies that I have gotten over the past couple days, and starting to get really excited again about this car, and we're just gonna keep jamming on it. So the goodies that came in the mail is 10 feet or 10 yards of carbon. So this carbon will take care of the passenger side door, passenger side rear quarter. It'll do the hood. I'm probably just going to do the hood section and then paint the fenders. And it should also probably do the rear wing. Another thing you guys have obviously seen in the beginning of the videos, the rendering of the bug that I had drawn up that years and years ago. You notice the door panels are red, and obviously with carbon you can't really do that. Well, I'm not going to paint the red on the door panels. I have actually ordered red carbon fiber. So this is red reflection carbon fiber from Composite Envisions. So this is honestly the most pretty carbon fiber I have ever seen in my life. This was has been a plan for a long time. This stuff is not cheap, but we're gonna do the final layer of carbon just on the door panels. So we're gonna go from this body seam here down all the way across, and then that'll transfer into that section of the hood as well. So all of this will be the red and black carbon. The top of the doors will be the black carbon, and then the outside of the bug will be the gray. As you can tell, I'm still doing body work, a lot of body work. just trying to get everything as smooth as possible, hammering out where I need to hammer out. A lot of that's all just skim coat that still needs to be blocked down. So you guys saw that I ended up picking up a 6-speed in the beginning of the video. I got this setting in here for mock-up. It's amazing that the 6-speed bolts in exactly where the 5-speed was. So still have a lot to do to this. I got to pull it apart. I'm going to powder coat the case. I have to cut the nose cone, weld on new section or a new block off plate for the 4-wheel drive. Weld that all up. I'll powder coat that as well. But that's turning out good. One of my biggest things with that was I was trying to find a clutch, and clutches for STIs aren't super cheap. So for the little bit of extra money, I wanted to buy something that I wasn't going to ever have to worry about, especially if I end up turning the boost up on this car and building the motor. So this is an X clutch. Full flywheel, clutch, all of that. I wanted something that was going to handle the power that I wouldn't have to worry about. And I saw a video on this and was pretty much sold as soon as I saw the video. All my regular stuff. X clutch is actually super awesome. They sent booklets and stuff. They sent a ton of stickers, which is pretty cool. And here is a sprung twin disc clutch with the flywheel and throw out bearing and all of that. So we got our twin disc in here. 2 discs. I believe this is rated for like over 600 foot-pounds of torque, which if this car ever sees that, I will be amazed. But lightened flywheel. I believe the flywheel's like 11 pounds and the stock one's 19, I think. So lighter weight. This thing should rev extremely quick now. And everybody says that this clutch here drives better than stock. Nice light pedal feel, not super stiff like a single disc, which kind of is the reason that I veered away from a single disc, because everybody said that the clutch feel is very harsh and you get a lot of vibration and gear noise and all of that stuff from heavier single disc. Well, with the engine in this car being solid mounted to the chassis, I kind of felt like with a heavy disc in there, you would just feel every single gear and all of that. And I think that would have been a little too much for this car. So with the twin disc, these are just regular organic clutch discs. One of them sprung, the other one's not. So super excited to get this put in, but we'll end up powder coating the trans and stuff before we get this in there. So we'll just keep continuing to work on all of this, and slowly but surely the car should start coming together. Inner fender's tacked in. I still have some trimming to do to try and fit it up better back here. That shouldn't be too big a deal. I also have to trim it to narrow where it needs to, and the outside is still way big, so I'm going to trim that as well. I have to drill holes in that and run the dimple die for the Zeus fasteners on the fender side. That way the fenders will Zeus fastener in there. Also went ahead and tack welded in this plate here. So this will be for the firewall. There'll be another one on the roll cage bar as well. Use the dimple die to dimple down in there. That way the nutserts will sit down flush. And then when I make the panel to go in here, it'll get some sealing foam or something along those lines to seal this panel to the top panel that'll bolt onto this. And I'm probably going to continue that from the back of the inner fender, and it'll go all the way around to the other side. That way the firewall can bolt to that and have somewhere to seal, and then it'll go to the cage. And I think I haven't decided whether I'm going to run a plexiglass face and top over the engine. Well, probably not plexiglass, but something along those lines. That way you can see it, and I'll probably put some like snap buttons all the way around it and have a piece of carpet that I can just snap to it to cover the engine. That way you can't really tell what's in the back. And then when I go to shows and stuff like that, then I can unsnap that, roll up the carpet, and you should be able to see the entire engine bay from that. That's kind of the plan. And I'll probably end up making some aluminum panels later down the line when I want to take it to a race or something like that. That way it's compliant with all of the racetracks and stuff like that. So we're getting pretty darn close. It's getting better and better the more that I work on it. So let's keep plugging away. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you on this one. Bunch of stuff went on. Bunch more stuff is going on. I have more parts in the mail for it. We're definitely going to start getting this car absolutely ridiculous. Starting to finish everything else. Get everything sorted. We'll get it in paint shortly. I'm also thinking about probably getting the chassis actually sandblasted and powder coated. So that might be pretty darn cool. I have a local place that's really close to me, and their pricing's actually pretty decent. So I'm kind of kicking it around to just have the whole thing powder coated. That way I don't ever have to worry about it again. But we'll figure that out once we get there. But for now, we'll keep working on sheet metal and paint and start getting this thing pieced back together. Start ordering parts that came off of my car that went on to Ryan's car. But I think I'm probably going to upgrade a lot of those parts. That way it just makes my car that much better. So thank you guys so much for watching, liking and commenting. You guys are awesome. I very, very much appreciate it. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, guys.